Alrighty guys, welcome back. Earlier we were talking about the NBA playoff games that happened last night, and now we're going to be talking about Reggie Bush. We'll have the Heisman Trophy reinstated, and we'll also be discussing Deshaun Watson endorsing the NFL expansion to Saudi Arabia. But before we do that, I just wanted to remind you guys to like and follow the show. Also, we get a number of questions from viewers that come in during the show, so to ensure that your question gets read on the air, I ask that you use the tips and donation link with your question. That link is GSMCPodcast.net. This just puts your question at the top of the list so I can see it, and it also really helps the show. So you should do it.
Right. See,
Like to sprinkle that in there every now and then.
you, my dear, are in mid-season form today. I'm liking it. You're on a roll, Miss
Thank
Faith.
you.
Okay.
Alrighty. So, Reggie Bush, let me just start over. Heisman Trophy makes historic decision on Reggie Bush. So one of college football's biggest recent controversies has been resolved as the Heisman Trust will reinstate the Heisman Trophy to former USC Trojans running back Reggie Bush, according to ESPN. The Heisman Trust is poised to announce the reinstatement of the trophy to Bush amid what the trust referred to as enormous changes in the college football landscape. Bush forfeited his Heisman in 2010 amid a wave of significant sanctions in the NCAA imposed against USC, which included the claim that Bush received improper benefits during his career with the Trojans. As part of this decision, Bush will once again be invited to all future Heisman Trophy ceremonies beginning this season. Personally, I'm thrilled to reunite with my fellow Heisman winners and be part of the story legacy of the Heisman Trophy, and I'm honored to return to the Heisman family, Bush said via ESPN. I also look forward to working together with the Heisman Trust to advance the values and missions of the organization. Bush won the Heisman Trophy following the 2005 season, rushing for 1,740 yards and 16 touchdowns while catching 37 passes for 478 yards and 2 additional scores. USC went undefeated in the regular season until an epic loss to Texas in the BCS National Championship game.
Okay. There are a number of wrongs that I feel like college football should fix.
Mm-hmm.
The Fab Five, all their wins need to be reinstated. Reggie Bush should get his Heisman Trophy back.
Mm-hmm.
USC should be able to get their wins back.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like SMU should be compensated as well. And I'll talk on SMU in a second. But let's talk about Reggie Bush first. This was the right decision. Reggie Bush his Heisman Trophy was taken from him because they say that his dad got improper benefits, meaning he was able to move to Southern California and get a job. They moved him to Southern California, and they got him a job at another place where his dad could actually work so he could play at USC. This came down the line. USC they had to vacate wins. Pete Carroll ended up leaving USC, and Reggie Bush lost his Heisman Trophy. Fast forward, if college football would have been doing the right thing back then, this should have never happened in the first place. I look at like Jim Tressel having to leave Ohio State, Terrell Pryor being pushed out. You look at all these guys over the years who the lives have been changed, altered, or ruined.
Mm-hmm.
And you see why when you're looking at that lawsuit that is coming down, the name, image, and likeness lawsuit is coming down the pike, why the NCAA is worried. Because they look hypocritical. They were taking advantage of these players and saying under the veil of amateurism.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Reggie Bush was the best. Reggie Bush and Vince Young were the best two players in college football and it wasn't even close.
Mm-hmm.
And because his dad was able to move to Southern California and get a job, he had his Heisman taken from him. It's a travesty. And so finally, they have gone and made a right, and Reggie Bush is allowed to be considered a Heisman Trophy winner, even though for years everyone has been like, I mean, officially, Reggie Bush is not a Heisman Trophy winner. Everyone knows Reggie Bush won the Heisman that year.
Mm-hmm.
But this is just an example of how hypocritical college football and the Heisman Trophy organization has been, well, college football as a whole has been up until recently, where now players can actually make money off of their name, image, and likeness. How if you're a poor kid and you want to go play for Georgia, you can go and play for Georgia and send money home, or your parents can move to Athens and live in Athens while supporting their kid who is trying to play college football and trying to get to the pros.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that all college players should have been able to do. I see this and it makes me, it disappoints me, because this opens up the door for why these lawsuits are in place.
Mm-hmm.
And also, when I hear this, it makes me think about SMU. And you may not be familiar with SMU. So I'm going to give you an example. Imagine you think about how many players Georgia pays each year, right? Mm-hmm. So imagine if the NCAA came to the University of Georgia and said, it is illegal what you've been doing, that you've been giving players money for players to have a little extra money while they're playing at University of Georgia. Mm-hmm. You've broken a rule. We're going to take some scholarships from you. Oh, we found out you broke that rule again. So Faith, imagine this. Every single player that plays sports for the University of Georgia no longer can play sports. All Georgia sports have been banned. And you cannot play college sports, anything, gymnastics, football, basketball, baseball, soccer, wrestling. Everything is taken from you for like a decade. You're no longer even allowed to be in the SEC any longer. It's all been taken from you. Well, guess what, Faith? That is what happened to SMU for doing just that. SMU was in the Southwest Conference, or it was the Big 12, the Big 8 Conference, one of those conferences, which was equivalent of the SEC back then, mm-hmm. the equal of the SEC. SMU was a football powerhouse. They had Craig James and Eric Dickerson. They were the Pony Express, and they were one of the best teams in football. College football came and gave them the death penalty and took all sports from them. They got removed from the conference. All the players had to leave, no sports for an extended period of time, and they never overcame it until last year, where they had to pay no money for 10 years to get into the ACC. So this will be the first year that they've been in a Power 5 conference since the death penalty. It's taken them almost 30, 40 years to overcome the death penalty because college football did not want to pay their players. I feel like I'm happy that Reggie Bush has his Heisman Trophy back. And ultimately, I would love to see SMU sue the NCAA for hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, because these players, for what Georgia's doing, Alabama, Michigan, Ohio State, TCU, University of Akron, everyone does it now. They got the death penalty for it. Reggie Bush lost his Heisman Trophy. Go ahead, fire away.
That's my only qualm. Well, not my only. That is one of my qualms.
I was like, that's the only one? Let me sit up for this.
that is one of my qualms with the NCAA is it seems like they pick and choose who to punish for certain things and people that have violated things. That is one of my qualms with the NCAA, and I'm glad to see that a lot of things are coming to light now, and lawsuits are happening, and things are getting reinstated and fixed of that. So, yeah.
Look at this. The University of Miami was the most dominant program in college football.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Irvin, Vinny Testaverde, Bernie Kosar, Warren Sapp, Willis McGahee, Ray Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
These guys, the Miami Hurricanes was a powerhouse. National championship after national championship, just like Alabama. Before Alabama, the Nick Saban Alabama. So they were the most dominant program. The Miami Hurricanes teams in the 80s are some of the greatest teams to ever play football in history of college football. But because there was a few players that got and these were not wealthy kids. Some of these, they found out some players, a booster, not the school, it was a booster and a rapper started giving players a job and some extra money. And it wasn't, when you look at this, it wasn't huge, millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. It was a couple thousand here, 100 there, things like that. I remember watching a thing where Luke Campbell, the rapper from Two Live Crew, he would give players $100 because one guy he didn't have money for food, so Luke gave him some money here, there. They were getting money. The college NCAA gave them so many penalties that the Miami powerhouse program, right to this day, is no longer a powerhouse program, which then brought on the rise of of Alabama, LSU, Georgia. Before that, Miami wasn't, because the NCAA punished players for getting a little bit of money. This wasn't 20 million, $30 million or anything like this. This was 100 here, 1,000 here, 100 here. Players got in trouble for doing whatever they could to get a little extra money while they were playing football, and they got suspended, and their entire franchise, which is the Miami Hurricane football program, was crippled because of this. USC lost so many scholarships. USC was winning national championships. They were putting together some of the best programs in football. And this whole Reggie Bush thing, Reggie Bush lost his Heisman Trophy. USC lost wins. Pete Carroll had to leave. All of that because of all that has gone down. So yes, I mean, I think this is just one step, but all these lawsuits will show that, I mean, all of this is showing that the NCAA had done a lot of dirt, and had done a lot of dirt and cost a lot of teams and organizations not just a Heisman Trophy, but entire franchises. Miami, USC, SMU have been crippled because of some of the things that the NCAA has done, and now, which is legal, that they openly do to everyone. I just think it's crazy. That's the reason why everyone's afraid of these lawsuits, because it's coming.
Yeah.
And it's going to cripple college football.
Which is unfortunate. But with that, guys, we are going to take a short break, and we will be back in a minute.
All right.